Hi there, it's Sunday the, give me dates right, 22nd of February, 22nd of February 2015. It's 136 days to San Diego Comic-Con. It's 19 weeks to go. This is a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego with myself, Leonard, Sultana, and I've just suddenly realised I haven't got my cup of tea to hand. This is so embarrassing. The cup is over there. I've been running around and getting everything all sorted out for this hangout, and so like talking to our guests, and I haven't got my cup of tea to hand. I may just actually, when someone's talking a little bit later, just sort of like nip off and sort myself out. Welcome along. This is a weekly hangout where we talk San Diego Comic-Con. It's the day after the open online badge registration, which happened yesterday. It was eventful. I think you can safely say it was a roller coaster of emotions, and we're going to be talking about all of that. Absolutely. The way you can interact with us here on the Hangout is, of course, best way is on the Q&A on the Google Plus Hangout. If you want to sign in, let us know where you're watching from, because it is Comic-Con International, and we have viewers from across the globe. Do let us know where you're watching from. And of course, you can interact with us on the Twitters if you want to use the hashtag CutOTSDCC. That's the hashtag down there. A roller coaster.
It's me. Sorry. There you go.
Okay. One of the complaints that we've had about these hangouts is that I need to shut up and let the guests talk. When I have both my voice twice, that's not good. When we have an echo. Oh, dear me. Okay, so yeah, that's the best way to interact with us. Very quickly, I want to cover the competition that we ran last week, and also the competition we ran a couple of weeks ago, the Ghostbusters competition. Someone did actually say, by the way, you didn't actually mention what the answer was. You're quite right. The telephone number that was on screen on the film Ghostbusters to advertise to get the Ghostbusters, they're ready to believe you. 555-2368. You're absolutely right. Last week's competition was to win a Foxcatcher T-shirt, courtesy of our fantastic sponsors, Dark Bunny Tees. They have provided a number of T-shirts last week during the live hangout, but we've also going to give away some promo codes. The deadline cut off 15 minutes ago. The winners are Andrew, which is Demon Slayer 1971. Stephen, which is Stephen M. Chan, and is it Chan or Chen? I'd have to check my handwriting. And Jesse, the 7th candidate. Congratulations, you are the ones that correctly identified the 5 categories for Foxcatcher for tonight's Academy Awards, which is Best Actor, which is Steve Carell, Best Supporting Actor, Mark Ruffalo, Makeup and Hair, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Director, Bennett Miller. Congratulations to you three. We'll be getting in contact with you soon, and you can exchange those codes on darkbunnytees.com. If you've not checked out that website before, it is quite simply one of the best sites out there for movie-themed T-shirts. They do T-shirts which are just slightly away from the actual topic of the film that's on discussion. You kind of like have to know the film. They're brilliantly designed. Alex and the entire team at Dark Bunny Tees, thank you very much indeed for supplying us with those codes. Right, we've got some great guests, and let's introduce them to you now. My regular partner in crime, thank you very much indeed to Alyssa Franks. How are you doing, Alyssa?
Not sleeping well. Thankfully yesterday got a good night's sleep, but in prep for the badge sale, and thankfully it seemed to go fairly smoothly on the forum, which was good.
On the forum, I think we're going to discuss one or two hiccups that happened generally. There were one or two. We'll cover those. I mean, what was the general mood on the forum?
The general mood was good. It seemed like most of the badge buying groups did well. That they were able to get, if not most of everything that people wanted, at least a good way towards it. The group concept worked well. I think we had a total of 7 groups for about 20 to probably 50 people. Some of the groups have been around for 2 or 3 years now. So they really had a friendship and camaraderie. Jeff Jeff and I ran into an interesting fallout from from a manifestation of an issue with regards to one of the groups, and Jeff wasn't sure that he tried to buy his own badge, and he wasn't sure that he had gotten it till about a half an hour, 45 minutes after the sale. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, something close to that. It was a little confusing. I'll just leave it at that for right now.
Well, I mean, that leads me on to my next guest, who we invited back from last week, Jeff Mueller from the Mighty Jerd. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Listen, there was one or two ways I was coming into this cast today, and luckily I'm coming in smiling. So yeah, I can't complain.
Brilliant. I mean, I think it was definitely an example of how badge teams work. But I mean, I was reading your timeline as I was keeping an eye on things over the course of the hour, and certainly it was. You could almost see your expression down your tweets as you were just getting more and more frustrated.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure in about 3 hours I ran the full spectrum of human emotions. I mean, I went from grief to anger to happiness to depression back to happiness. It was just a whirlwind of emotions for me. But in the end, it worked out, and I'm here smiling. Brilliant.
We will be talking to you very shortly about your experience then, because obviously that's one of the reasons why we would like to have you back. But we have ourselves somebody, an old friend, somebody we haven't seen for a while. Tony Kim, how are you doing, sir? Oh, hello. Oh, yes. Well, hang on.
Doing good.
Let me just throw that into the mix as well then. There you go. That's my contribution. Oh, excellent.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's been a long time. How are you keeping?
I'm doing great, and just so excited about Comic-Con with the badge sales, and just I know that we all talk about it year-round, but I think after yesterday's sale, I think it just got me really excited, and I think it got the whole community in a buzz, and so I'm ready to jump back into all these crazy conversations.
Well, I mean, you've been kind of away doing other things in terms of like moderating. I've been looking at your timeline on Twitter and on the group with much interest. I mean, you've been a busy boy. I mean, highlights for you so far since we spoke to you last?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really fun. I've been very grateful to have some opportunities to be involved with some other conventions, and I love the fact that now there is a convention somewhere around the world every weekend of the year, and it's great to be a part of the conversation when it comes to things, artist work and creativity and multicultural conversation and casting news and whatnot. So yeah, it's been really awesome, and yeah, just great.
Because I know that you've been moderating a couple of panels as well. Which ones have stuck out for you? Which you've been involved in?
I guess a few weekends ago, I was involved with Portland Comic-Con, and I had a chance to moderate the Stephen Amell panel, the Green, basically Arrow, I guess. And that was all really awesome. He's a super sweet guy, really humble. He had his family backstage, very family man, and he was great. And then I think the funniest moment was I was moderating the Alan Tudyk panel. Wash from Firefly, and we both realized that we went to high school together, and we actually knew each other.
Whoa!
No way!
Yeah, it never really dawned on me. It was a long time ago, and it never really dawned on me that it was the same Alan, and we were, I basically, when I was reading his biography before his panel, I was like, oh my gosh, we went to the same high school, and then it just sort of like, the light bulb went off that we were friends, and we knew each other, so I brought that up, and we had a good old laugh, and yeah, so it was crazy. I've never had anything like that happen before. So
this is why we like having Tony on. The name drops that he brings are immense. We love it. Fantastic. What were you doing yesterday in terms of the badge sale? Were you involved? What was your take on that?
Oh, just offering a lot of useless and pointless snarky comments and trying to do as much misdirection as I could to cause a ruckus. But, you know, I wasn't necessarily in it for the badge hunts, but just trying to give, like a lot of you guys were, just live updates and just some help. I mean, it's so interesting. I don't know what program do you guys? I use TweetDeck. Do you guys use TweetDeck or something like similar to that?
I was just using the straightforward Twitter app.
So just trying to keep up. The reason why I ask is just trying to keep up with the sheer volume of SDCC hashtag. It is incredible. Like I couldn't. I felt like I was playing like you know, the game where you like have to knock the gophers down with the hammer. You know, like it was just
whack-a-mole.
Whack-a-mole. It was like the tweets were happening so fast. My mouse couldn't keep up with the amount of questions and comments and issues, and so it takes a small army to just try to keep up with everything that's going on.
I mean, I think a lot of people were really on the Twitter very helpful in spreading as much information as they could and keeping everybody informed. At which point I would turn around and say that I think Comic-Con themselves did a great job. However, Alyssa is, we were kind of talking before we came on air, I think there may be a conflicting view on that one, so we'll see. Oh, no, go for it.
Go
on then, Alyssa. What was your take on it?
What I noticed, and the comments that they were making before, and the sending out of the emails, and the difficulties with getting into the member ID system, that was all great, and A+ for that. What I was trying to address was the messaging in the status bar was, to my mind, I mean, where's the Star Wars references? You know, where's the geeky stuff? There wasn't anything really fun in there. It was all, oh yeah, we're going along, we're selling badges, and it's like, you know, I wanted something to keep me interested and active, and I would give them a C- for that.
I thought they did their usual fun and games, and they threw in some. They did the Unite the Seven gag, which was good. They did a number, but I think they did it on the
They did a Benedict Cumberbatch reference as well, so there's a few here.
Okay. Well, I just didn't catch it as much, you know, but it wasn't as poignant and as funny as it has been in years past, and so that was my one comment.
Okay. I know that.
I thought just in general, them adding some of the comments is a pretty huge step for Comic-Con over the past couple of years, because it really humanizes the organization. It kind of takes the edge off, and so yeah, I agree with you. Any little bit just sort of helps make a pretty stressful situation a little easier to.
Exactly. Sure.
I mean,
when it came to about 10 minutes out, the tone obviously shifted as well. It did that with the pre-reg, the pre-registration badge sale. At 10 minutes out, it's like, okay, enough of the jokes. Game face now. Let's be a little bit more serious. Not only that, but they were also struggling with their own kind of issues, which we'll cover now. Let's go through the timeline of what actually happened yesterday. So this is what. Excuse me. It's going to be another one of those. I do apologize. Right. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of math in my head, because I've actually got the times written down in GMT. So bear with me. We'll start with.
We'll translate the time here. I've got a calculator.
Okay, that's fine. Well, 4 o'clock in the UK then, so 8 hours behind. So 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, and midday on. Am I getting that right? I think so. Basically, the doors opened. The link was that had been mailed out to everybody. Well, hopefully, been mailed out to everybody. Opened, and the waiting room started accepting people into the process. Also, I think pretty much instantly, the member ID page on the Comic-Con website instantly started freezing, as people had either just glanced over their email and not seen that there was a registration code required, or for whatever reason, everyone just suddenly then went to the member ID page of the Comic-Con website, which was not designed to handle mammoth amount of traffic in that manner, and instantly froze. And I think I saw messages from pretty much 3 minutes in, with people just struggling to get into the member ID page. Did anyone? What was everyone's take on that when they saw those messages? So, did anyone have any direct?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I jumped in about 5 minutes beforehand to grab my registration. I had no problem. Pulled the page up like this. My wife, on the other hand, hopped in about 3 or 4 minutes after the hour, and she just hit the sludge pit of traffic, and it took her about 15 minutes to finally get through and finally get her registration ID. I don't know how much of an issue it caused, because you did have that entire hour to enter the registration code in, but I think that initial hit that they took, it was a problem. But I got to tell you, I was surprised they quickly turned around the emails out to people. I thought that was a great fix.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good save on their part.
I'm going to have to pull up that email, because I did quite like the passive-aggressive tone on it, which was rather cool. Because it actually got because I was too busy looking at Twitter at this point, and so I missed the actual email coming into my inbox. But it got forwarded on to me by Princess Dillon. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. I did quite like the second paragraph. We have noticed that a large number of attendees have waited until the last moment to access their registration code. Nothing like just passive-aggressive messaging from CCI there. I thought that was a nice touch. But it was just a case of sheer volume, and I think that's what we get with pretty much every element of Comic-Con. Did anyone get an idea of what time it did start becoming easier for people? Because I think the advice was just refresh that page.
I think it took my wife about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think by around 8:30 or so, I started seeing less of the complaints for that. But I mean, I think lessons learned that next time anyone is participating in this sale, to make sure to copy all that information down beforehand. Don't rely on any website to be able to pull up right beforehand, because whether it's traffic or it's server issues or anything, a number of things can happen. Just relying on that resource on the morning of a sale is probably not a good idea.
No.
I was in contact with the group leaders for most of the groups on the forum, and we were getting comments up until right before the sale, insofar as wondering whether or not CCI would delay the sale. But they needed to go on with it. So I had noticed. That's what I had noticed. The other thing, it seems to me that a lot of people didn't get their earlier emails. I never received an email from CCI with regards to the badge, my reg number, or the link. Of course, I had access to both of those bits of information from before, through the member ID system. One tip that I would give people for the member IDs and pre-reg codes is, if you have multiple codes, I was working it for both my mom's code and my code, to take a Post-it note. Jopari on the forum suggested this. Actually take a Post-it note with that member ID number and put it right by on the monitor, so you know which code goes to which reg session. That was one of the things that I noticed. But it seemed to me that right up until the sale, they were pretty much slammed. I was getting the member ID system.
Sure. I mean,
Alyssa, I talked to a number of folks that had a similar issue with the email, and after talking it through with them, almost all of them found it eventually in their rather their spam or something like that. There's probably some out there, but I didn't talk to a lot that it was just vanished or they never got it. I'm sure there were some. But there were a significant number of people who just, they rather sent it to the wrong email or went to a spam folder or something like that. So I think that's just another reminder is take care of your business way earlier, a day before the sale, whether it's tough.
Sure. I mean, for the pre-registration badge sale, they were those 2 hours to prepare with the waiting room. Do you think that it would have possibly been a better? Because I think what they did was when the pre-registration badge sale went so smoothly, certainly at their end, they just thought, hey, an hour, we can do this, not a problem at all. And then obviously these 1 or 2 issues, because I saw things like people being kicked out of the waiting room, browser issues, even when they'd gone through the browser check and they got all green lights, they were being kicked out of the waiting room. So do you think perhaps that another hour may have helped?
You know, I like to pose a philosophical question, if I could.
Go for it.
So I love San Diego Comic-Con. It's my favorite convention, and you know, this is my 10th year going, so I've definitely seen it go from walking up to the Mount Olympus that it is today. But my question to you guys is, I kind of like the fact that while I want as many people to experience San Diego Comic-Con for the first time, and my purpose of my site is to help as many people experience it for the first time, I kind of like it that there is some hoops to jump through, because I do feel like that in the morning as I'm following the tweets, I've seen so many tweets of people saying, oh, I overslept, or I didn't know I needed my member ID, or I signed up and got my member ID late, or I didn't, you know, have my information in time. And to a point, I think this convention is for those people that are very serious about the show. And it's not for the casual attendee that wakes up that morning and decides they want to go. And so while I do want to make it as open to brand new people as possible, I do think that there's some sort of bar. I mean, I think it needs to be a kind of a low bar, but a bar that sort of weeds out the people who are just very casual about it versus those that really want to go. But do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that every barrier should be removed to where it now goes from several 100,000 people at a time to now 1 million plus?
It's a great question.
I agree with you, Tony, and I said as much on the forum. We had a thread for this particular topic because they closed the member IDs down for the new member IDs a week or so beforehand, and a lot of new people were coming on and complaining. And with the topic, my response was, if people can't get it together to do a member ID a week before the sale, then how are they ever possibly going to get into Hall H and see all of the things that they want to get? They're not. And those are the people that will complain, oh, this is a crazy place, there's there's too many fanatical fans, and because they can't walk into Ballroom 20 and go see an Arrow panel. Yeah. So I'm in complete agreement with you, Tony.
I think they have to learn. I think
the Mighty Jerd might be able to relate to this, but if a marathon was easy, everyone would do it, yep, right? Yes. I mean, so there's a certain point that you have to, for those people that put the time and effort in, those are people that deserve to win.
Yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the complaints I always see post-ticket sale every year is the same. It's the same thing. You see 5 million of these posts on the Facebook wall or on Twitter. You got to redo the registration system so the real fans can go. I see that all the time, and it drives me insane. Labeling real fans versus not fans. But
the one that kind of got under my skin was the don't you understand that people from San Diego can't go anymore?
Oh yeah, I see that too. I get that,
between the two.
But I agree with Tony. I mean, I think that for a convention this big that takes this much planning on Comic-Con's part, the fans and the people that are attending should be willing to do a little bit of planning on their own. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Now, granted, I think the reason why we are all here is to help as many people go to the convention as possible. Yeah. But this is the one show out of everyone that's out there that takes some pre-preparation, and asking people to, and that pre-preparation takes months out in advance.
I will suggest that New York Comic Con is right up there. Sure. They may be a year or two behind, but they're
getting there.
The same kind of preparation is required. So.
Sorry, Leonard. We really rabbit trailed on your. No. That's exactly where we're going, because I think that first hour was where people were asking these questions. Why it was just so like it just felt like It was just a hard slog. But then again, I think it's just generally going to be like that across the board, because I mean the analogy that I use is that it really is everyone driving their own individual Volvo down a rabbit hole, and when 1 million Volvos are trying to get down the one rabbit hole, it's going to be a bit of a car crash at the end of the day. So you've got to kind of know how to maneuver and get it right. So
we don't drive Volvos over here. You need to be more culturally
I'm saving up for the Tesla. That's all I can say.
To go back to the idea of 1 hour versus 2 hours for the open to get into the system, it might be pre-reg. You got to figure that pre-reg probably had maybe 200,000 people were eligible for pre-reg. And you got to wonder how many badges, how many people had a member ID and were available for the Gen Reg, and you got to figure that that was 4-5 times as many people as for pre-reg. So if you've got 200,000 people trying for pre-reg to get in, you had a 2-hour window, and you've got 800,000 people, maybe, who knows? We'll never know those numbers. Trying for Gen Reg, maybe a 2-hour window would be prudent.
Yeah, I think also with that first pre-reg as well, they were introducing the code system that was on the back of the badges, whereas with this time you're obviously introducing the registration code that you were fetching from your member ID. So I think the 2 hours, yeah, it would have been possibly a little bit better. So obviously the email went out from San Diego Comic-Con, or CCI, at 8:36. See, I'm doing the math in my head. 8:36 on the West Coast, 4:36 here in the UK. At which point, everyone was doing their best to get their browsers sorted out, get the registration code sorted, and it all started to dovetail to getting everyone pretty much in line for when the sorting hat opened, or the waiting room, the session started opening, which was at 9 o'clock Pacific time. So the sorting pretty much started bang on 9 o'clock, and 15 minutes later, those the people that had been introduced into the waiting room had been sorted into their registration sessions, randomly selected, and those sessions started at 9:15. At which point it was just a case of keeping an eye on the Comic-Con messaging, because then it was the dominoes of watching which days were going to go to get sold out. The preview night badges were sold out by 9:33. Something I wanted to bring up at this point then. Obviously, as Tony has said, and I've said it on a couple of occasions, CCI's main intent is to try and get as many people into San Diego Comic-Con as possible. And one person pointed out to me that perhaps it would have been best that instead of just people who didn't have preview night badges available to take part in this sale, that perhaps it could also have been extended to those who already had Saturday. What's everyone's thoughts on that?
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not understood the question. What are you asking again?
He's saying that to eliminate the people who had Saturday badges from getting a code to participate in Gen Reg, and that would leave a lot of disappointed people who didn't get preview night in pre-reg. That would open them up to a lot of angry.
Even more criticism.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want to do that or not.
I think the suggestion of the post was because at least then people had Thursday, Sunday, Friday. They had at least 3 days out of the con. If you remove people who already had Saturday in the pre-reg, at least then people who didn't have the Saturday in the pre-reg, they have the chance to upgrade their ticket, their badge, sorry, and also you had more badges available for.
I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. I think is is where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
However, it would be a way of limiting it and getting it into more people's hands. Tony?
Well, I have a question. So I'm always for the simplest solution, less explanation, just streamline. So do you guys feel like that even the pre and open registration is even the right way to go about it? Because I know that part of it is honoring people who have attended in the past, and then another part of it is probably, maybe it's a smaller percentage, but helping with the traffic flow to reduce traffic during each sale. But I don't know, maybe I think instead of just deciding on certain days, just making another open registration, everyone being able to have an opportunity versus it being broken down to people who attended last year. I'm trying to understand the value behind that, and we all appreciate, because we've been there before, have a chance to get a pre-reg early. But I'm just wondering if it should return back to just a flat open registration and just every man for themselves.
I understand your point. The reason why I am not an advocate of that is because I think that there's a certain amount of intrinsic value in having half of the con-going population know what they're doing and being able to help people. Imagine if there was 130,000 new people all at San Diego. Nobody would know where to go. Nobody would know where to line up. It would be difficult for the volunteers. And not even talking about the cosplayers. So I think that there's a value in having an educated population. And that's why I've been an advocate of the pre-reg system.
Whereas I take it from a slightly different angle of just the administration of the badge sales. I think the pre-registration allows them to introduce new technologies, introduce new elements of the process, and test drive them before introducing them into the open online. I take it from a slightly different perspective. But
that's a good point. I didn't think about that, Leonard. But yeah, that might be a good way. I mean, having that smaller batch available does let them avoid the issues that they ran into. What was it, 3 years ago, where they completely revamped the system, and then it was just boom, here it is, and it was a total train wreck. So yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one, Tony. I think you're angering a lot of people just by postulating that, though.
What's everyone's take on this? Do jump in on the Q&A. What's your thoughts on number one? Should Saturday badge holders from the pre-reg should have been excluded from open online? And also, what Tony has just said regarding, should there just be a one sale for everyone? No pre-registration, just straight back into it. Okay, we've moved then. So the preview night sold out at 9:33. At 9:39, the Saturday went, and it really was just instant. I mean, I think the one thing we can say about this sale, it was historic. It was the fastest badge sale they've ever had. And the Saturday was, running low at 9:39, and then gone a minute later. And then 4 minutes after that, the Fridays had gone. Yep. At which point, people were just starting to vent and spleen on the various social medias, because obviously Fridays and Saturdays, the two big popular days. Was there any comments that anyone spotted that certainly jumped out and attracted their attention?
Things were selling out so fast that the one thing I did notice that was frustrating was that I guess it's based on when you join the waiting room. The yellow bar only refreshes every 2 minutes. So with things selling out, a minute. Like, I was still showing that Saturday tickets were for sale on one of my screens when not only were they gone, but also Friday was gone. So there could have been a little confusion there.
Twitter was a good feed for that information, because obviously people were going into sessions and relaying what they were being shown on screen. They got that information out before CCI certainly did. I mean, I was following Twitter as best as I possibly could, because like Tony says, the hashtag, the SDCCOOR hashtag was just refreshing. Just was so fast.
I didn't pay any attention to Twitter. I had 3 chats going with all of my group leaders, and just trying to sling badges, between groups towards the end of it. Once Friday and Saturday it sold out. We were getting a lot of some groups hadn't done as well, so they were passing it along to other groups. And I hats off to you guys who managed to do Twitter, because there was no way I can manage that one in addition to everything else that's going on. So, but what do people think about the CCI messaging? You guys all like the messaging, huh? I don't know.
I found them amusing. I mean, I did a post a week ago about the pre-reg comedy hour, which and I think they did the fair share again. I was expecting like I say, a couple more other geek relevant comments, but I think they got their fair share in. I found them amusing, and I've screen capped as many as I possibly can, and I'll be doing another one of those comedy hour.
I did want to comment on the value of I think you just touched on it, Lenny, that the value of the Comic-Con tribe doing the updating, because a lot of it is, it's all about managing expectation. And I think when you're going in, and really when the early days of open registration, when you would get on and then all suddenly just Saturday badge is just gone, the shock and all of that really create a lot of disillusionment. So I do appreciate that CCI is doing the Saturday badge is low, and then as well as on Twitter, as people are also indicating, reflecting the same thing, and also saying, hey, Saturday ran out. That does help to sort of prepare people for the bad news, and I think that's a valuable part of what the Comic-Con community that provides on Twitter and on the forums and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that, like I say, between the two, the fans letting everybody know, and also CCI themselves, I think they did a good job of keeping everyone up to date, especially when, like you say, they just did sell out so fast. So Friday went at 9:43. Sunday went at and let me just say, get me my notes right. Sunday was low, sorry, at 9:55, and then completely done and dusted at 9:59. So it snuck under the wire. It was under the hour, and I was in shock around the 20-10 mark when I was just thinking just how fast these were selling through. Then it's like I've said on numerous occasions, when you've got 500,000 fans on Facebook group alone. That's just an indicator of just how many people. I mean, I know that San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog were talking 1 million people possibly hitting that site, and all aiming for, what, 18, 90,000 badges. At the end of the day, there's going to be some massive disappointments, and I think it says a lot about the process that they've introduced at CCI, that it is so streamlined that badges can sell out that quickly.
I wish that there was something that we could say that put it forward more forcefully to people from far away. Don't buy your plane tickets before you get your badge. I cannot tell you, that was the most heart-wrenching. We're planning our honeymoon. We've organized it around Comic-Con. We've already bought our plane tickets, and but you open your. I just wish that they would put that across the top of the website. Don't buy your plane tickets before you get your badge.
Yeah, don't buy your hotel rooms, or don't. Considering that's the next thing we're going to be looking at. Absolutely. So let's talk to Jeff regarding how you were involved, because obviously you were buying for your badges. What did you do to prepare, and what was your situation?
Well, so to prepare, I joined one of the buy groups, on the forums, which worked out beautifully. I think from our group, I'd say probably about 2/3 of the people managed to get their tickets, so that's a pretty good percentage, at least from our group.
How big was the group?
45, I think, 45 people. So, decent sized group, and now, granted, not everyone got all 4 days by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I only think about 6 or 7 people managed to pull that off. A lot of people were getting, Thursday, Sunday. I think there were a lot of people got through. But what happened for me was a little stressful. So I get into finally one of my monitors pops that I can get in, hop on, type in my user ID. It tells me no. I'm like, oh crap. So I type in my wife's user ID. It tells me no. You already have stuff associated with your account. You are not eligible for this badge sale. I started freaking out because I sat in during the pre-reg, so I didn't know if there was something wrong. So, and I know we've got the 15-minute window, so time is ticking. Finally, after trying it multiple different ways, I just said screw it and bought tickets for 3 other people in my group and just figured I was SOL. So I managed to get 3 other people's Thursday, Sunday tickets.
That's paying it forward, man.
Which was great, and I at that point I was kind of despondent. I might have vented on Twitter a little bit, because those of us that do plan for it and do want to go every year and do want to experience, this isn't a local convention. Traveling, Leonard, traveling great distances, it's a huge expense. It's a lot of time off from work. It's a vacation, essentially. It's not just going to a convention for a weekend, So I was watching my summer vacation slip away, and I got a little sad. And obviously, so did other people, and they called the cops there with whatever that siren was. But so at the end of the sale, I managed to get a message from Alyssa who told me, hey, by the way, you've got tickets, and I was extremely confused. What had happened was Alyssa had put me into another buy group as well. They managed to get tickets before I got in the waiting room, but there was no communication back and forth, which caused the confusion. So I'm not complaining at all. I'm super happy I got in. And in fact, I got to be honest with you, even if I didn't get tickets, I wasn't going to complain, because what you said, based on how ticket sales went years ago, this is just unbelievably streamlined, and it's hard to complain. I would much rather it be a random system than who's got the better, faster internet connection. So, I wasn't going to complain either way. I was just going to be sad and cry in the corner for a while. But luckily, not the case.
Sure.
I put you in as my friend, so it was that was.
I love
well,
you.
It's just well, so that's just kind of one of those hierarchies of how buying groups work. In the groups that I belong to, you've got the full-on members, and I'm trying to get my hands right. You've got the full-on members who you're committed to buy, right? You're committed to buying for first, and once those people are done and have gotten the best that they're going to get, then you go to friends of friends. So, and I have put you down on the secondary list on my group. So. That's why you got the error message. I also was in, and I had a couple of codes and was able to get in when Thursday, Friday, and Sunday were available, and it got that error message quite a bit. That member ID was already in use or had already been bought for. So it's tricky going through that and with that time constraint of 15 minutes. But as Leonard said, I just breathed and concentrated and focused and was able to get it done.
It's all you can do. It really is. I'm just trying to get an idea of other people's experiences as well on the bear with me, on the Q&As. Basically, we've got a number of people who've been very lucky on the badge sale. Betsy Woodden has commented, thank goodness for the Facebook group. During pre-sale, Stephanie got mine, and during reg sales, Zayamara got my son's. I will try and repay them with helping them get Nerd HQ, Kevin Smith, and Hardwick tickets.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about paying it forward. That's all
Yes.
the badge sale's about. Absolutely. So thank you very much indeed to Betsy for that comment. Let's see what else we've got. Gary Grigley is asking, does anyone know how many tickets were on sale yesterday? I think this is just going to be an endless debated question. I know that some San Diego Comic-Con blog talk about 50,000, 60,000. I don't think it's that less, or that few, sorry. I think it is more in the region of 90 to 100. I think it's more 2/3 than... I don't think they sell that many in pre-reg.
Well, so again, I know a lot of this is speculation. The sounded numbers at one point, as far as fact checked, were probably a couple years back, a 60% pre-reg, 40% open reg, and I know that number has shifted. That number shifted a little bit. It's closer to the 50% range now. But also mind you that only about 100,000 tickets go on actual sale, because about 30,000 will go to professionals, exhibitors, volunteers, all that stuff. So it's only about 100,000 pure. And so the numbers about 50K is probably about right. And, those numbers are a couple years old, but it's probably within that range.
Okay, all right, okay. I think I'm just being very optimistic about how many they're actually giving to professionals and press, but obviously, yeah, the math, you kind of have to do that. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Neil Williamson, although our group did not necessarily get all the badge days wanted, all of our pre-arranged teams got something. I think that's how badge teams have been received when it comes to the badge sales, because it's the best way to go. It really is.
A couple questions that came up on Twitter too.
Go for it.
Someone asked about when will resale happen, and I think this is another heartbreaking sort of answer, that there probably won't be a resale. Last year was the first time that there wasn't a resale. So typically, all the press and everyone else who get their badges resell their badge back to Comic-Con, and then there's a smaller batch sale, which is literally like 6,000 or 7,000 badges. But that resale for the first time did not happen last year, and they've already indicated that it probably won't happen this year. So really, this past open registration was probably the last opportunity to get a ticket.
Sure. We've had a question following on the back of your description of what you got up to, Jeff. What days did you get?
I almost feel bad for saying it, but I mean, I got all 4 days with preview night, and my wife got 4 days without the preview night. So no complaints at all. This will be the first year I actually get in to see preview night, so I'm kind of excited to walk around and do some photography when the crowds aren't quite so packed,
Well, maybe 3-4 years ago. In 2015, I think most people will agree that preview night is as busy as a regular day nowadays.
Don't tell me that.
Sorry, man. When I went, my first Comic-Con was 2010, and yeah, you could just wander around and you had arm space, and it was great, but not anymore. It's very much a busy day.
Fortunately, there actually has been a little more management towards that, because around 11, 12, 13, they were more liberal with the number that they were allotting for preview night, and they actually are trying to scale it back some. So I think it'll feel a little bit better last year, this year, hopefully in the future. But it definitely, as Lenny alluded to, around that era, it swelled to its highest number, because they were giving away a lot more of the preview than they were currently.
Yeah, I know that people have been talking that you're not going to be seeing the stickers this year, or if you do, you're not going to be seeing as many. That's for certain. So maybe they are going to limit those and try and make preview night once again a little bit more easier to manage.
I had another question come up.
Go for it.
People are asking when will they get their email confirmation, and then will the email confirmation go to me if someone else purchased the badge? Like, how does that work?
Question.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The email, it should go to the member ID that's attached to the purchase, so you should get your own email, your own personalized email confirmation. But when that email goes out, some people are already getting it today. It might go tomorrow. So you're just going to have to hang tight. I wouldn't panic until it's been like a few days or longer.
Sure. Especially if you've had any issues with your credit card as well, because CCI or Epic do actually contact people directly if there are any issues with your credit card.
Yeah, the most important thing is check your credit card. If it's been charged, you're fine. It will get worked out. But if it doesn't get charged, it's been a few days, then you probably should be concerned after that.
Absolutely.
2 years ago, I was in contact with somebody who had been contacted by Epic saying that their credit card was incorrect and never charged. They didn't follow up on it. This person did not follow up on it, and he eventually finally followed up on it about 5 months later and was able to purchase his badge. Now, this is back before all the craziness, so I'm sure that the systems are much better this time around, so you do have a couple of days, weeks to get it sorted. I wouldn't worry about a bad credit card number mistyped in at all.
Yeah, so an hour before we went on, I got my email from Epic already with the credit card, statement saying everything went through okay, and with I think it says about 72 hours for barcodes to go out is the approximate, wait time. So people should start seeing stuff today, at least.
People were receiving sort of confirmation emails up to like 6 hours after the actual badge sale. They were on that straight away. Absolutely. A couple of questions coming in on the hashtag. We've got Dan Page, who's asking, do you guys think they should hold sales over multiple days, reducing the number and doing multiple day sales? What's your thoughts on that?
It's an interesting idea, and I like that on first blush. I think, and that would certainly address the people. There's a certain folk of people that need to work on weekends. They're in the service industry, and so if you had one like on Wednesday and on a Saturday, it would half, like 30% of the badges on Wednesday. I think even BlizzCon does that. They've got it on 2 different days.
I think it's go.
No.
Okay. I mean, I would personally think that perhaps CCI and Epic wouldn't particularly like the idea of 3 days of bile and hatred being thrown in their direction, and they might as well just have it all in one go and just have 1 day of bile and hatred. If you really want to see some special individuals and their views, if you go to the Twitter account of Comic-Con, which is comic_con, and find the tweet which they sent out saying that the badges had all sold out. Have a look at the replies and see what fun and games that they receive in their social media management team.
Don't do it. It's a trap. Don't look.
Yeah.
I think, Leonard, to your question, I think, again, I'm all for simplicity, and I just think you just keep it as easy and explainable as possible, because as soon as, just the introduction of the member ID and the registration links and emails and all that, just those simple steps have created an incredible amount of complexity for the fans. And so I just think you keep it this, same day, simple, and even getting rid of, I know we all jeered at the removal of the 4-day badge, but actually it's just simple. Just make it about each day individually, not trying to create another badge type. That's why they don't have like many other conventions have VIP packages and all these multiple layer badge. I just think because of this magnitude of this show, it just has to be simple to me.
Sure. No, it makes sense.
Even what you're saying makes sense. I'm just approaching it from I'm a person that works on the weekends on occasion, so I know how I had to say to my boss, okay, I'm guessing, but I'm going to have to take either this Saturday, or this Saturday off, and I'll let you know 3 days beforehand. And thankfully, I've got a good boss, but I can certainly imagine the person that that doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to what we talked about last week, though. I mean, I really think that there's no reason for the notice for when badge sale is going to be to come out the week of. It just makes no sense to me why they can't give a couple weeks notice now with all the gateways they put in place to where it doesn't matter if the link gets shared out or anything else. There's no reason not to give people 2-3 weeks notice so that people in your situation can take off work if they're really, insistent on, I want to get a badge.
Right. That makes sense, actually. I would like that better than maintaining the current system.
I'm just reading a couple of the comments. I am going to go back to the Q&A, but we've got a couple of comments coming through on the hashtag. This is from Lee Snowden. As well as having 800,000 people trying to get badges, how many of them have multiple IDs as well? I'd be happy going back to the pre-waiting room system. I think I did better with that system.
with all the crashes, you like crashes?
I remember crashes left, right, and centre. I think, no, sorry, Lee, on this one you're going to get a thumbs down from all of us on that one.
COS is a real thing, and it happens to everybody. It happens to the festival in Arizona, Conchilla. It happened to the Olympics. It happens all the time, and there's really not much that can be done technologically about it, and it's got to be thought through in the waiting room ideas and a variety of other ways.
I'm not sure how's it. Maybe I'm naive, but how is a person getting multiple member IDs? Since when you do your badge pickup, you have to show your ID, and then that ID is tied to, the system cross-checks itself, so it doesn't have duplicates. So I don't know how you get multiple IDs.
I think with it, it's just a case of the ability to get into the waiting room and just improve your odds, creating almost like your own separate badge team, as it were.
Well, yeah, I understand that. I'm just saying that I just don't think that's a legitimate tactic, because the system does weed out multiple similar IDs. So anyway, it's okay.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Let's see what we've got here. Any other questions that have come in from your sides?
I know nothing.
No? Okay.
I hear nothing.
Fair enough.
I'll toss this one out there real quick. As I saw this comment come up quite a bit, actually. People requesting perhaps separate badge sales for Hall H alone. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Like, I know that we like simple stuff, but there are people that just want to go for Hall H and nothing else. Should there be a separate badge pool for them? I don't know how I feel either way.
I saw Tony shaking his head almost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I just think that, again, you're just asking for trouble, because if you get a separate Hall H badge, then there's a sense of expectation, a higher sense of expectation that you're going to be able to get into Hall H. And so now you're talking about selling the exact numbers, and then if those exact people don't show up, then there's empty chairs, and then if you oversell that number, then some people don't get in, and they're even more angry because they had bought the special Hall H. So I just think that there is again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I think just if you make it too complex, then it just ends up causing more disappointments in it. And so, as we all seen, the Hall H beast is so organic that sometimes it's easier to walk in, and other times it's not. And so there's been on Thursday afternoons, Sunday afternoons, you've been able to walk in, or at least wait shorter than expected. And then, I know Friday and Saturday will be long no matter what, but right. I think part of the culture of Comic-Con is, waiting in line and being a little bit more organized with your your approach to Hall H. But I think just adding the whole wristband thing last year was already tough as it was, let alone making specific Hall H badges.
I'm really hoping that they've learnt any kind of lessons from that wristband system, because you could see what the intent was. You absolutely could see what they were trying to do, and the hardcore fans managed to circumvent and make it more issues again off the back of what they introduced. It was really you can imagine the frustration on CCI's part, because they were trying their best to kind of allow people not to line up that early, and it still kind of happened. We've got a question from Kate H. Any plans to discuss Hotel Apocalypse in the coming weeks? Oh boy, heads in hands, man. Head in hands. Yes.
I just recovered from this stress. I don't need to think about the next batch of stress. Oh.
There has been a lot of talk about that, but it really isn't as bad as I think we lump it into the general stress of the convention. But you get on and you fill out the form. It takes like 4 minutes, and then you send it off, and then you just wait patiently for the email. But it certainly isn't the waiting room sort of hour of soul-sucking sort of experience as badge sales is. So I don't think it's as bad. I mean, I think it is. It can be disappointing for sure. But again, if you work in groups and you're organized and you know exactly what you want, then typically those who are more prepared end up winning out.
Sure. A couple of comments coming in on the Q&A. Neil Williamson has turned around and said he's already received payment emails for people that were bought for, so the emails are going out. So if you are waiting on those, they are heading out in your direction. So do keep your eye on your inbox. Michael Leventhal is saying he would prefer no separate sales. The point of Comic-Con is making the choice of what you want to do. I think that was referring to the Hall H question, statement from earlier. It makes sense that, I think the idea of the ability to just, okay, that's looking really busy. Mm-hmm. What's that over there? And instead of focusing on, and we focus on the big rooms, the ballroom 20s, the 6 VCFs, the Hall H's, when there are the smaller panels which absolutely have some incredible content, which kind of leads me on to Tony. Are you intending to be hosting a panel at Comic-Con this year again?
Well, there's always a hope. So we'll
how does that process work? If say somebody wanted to create or put a panel together, how does that process actually work?
First, you have to find an unblemished goat, and you need to build an altar, and then pull out a very sharp knife, start from the throat, and work your way out.
I'm taking notes. Hold on.
When there is an open registration for programming, I'm not sure when that is exactly, but once you request a program application, then you fill it out and send it off away, and you just pray. So for Comic-Con, like many conventions, but Comic-Con specifically, they kind of have they're trying to fill a quota of certain type of panels, and so they are not one to just accept anything, and they definitely want the highest quality of programming as possible. So it kind of depends on what you want to say, who do you want to say it to, the guests that are involved. So it's not so easy to say, hey, do this type of panel and then you'll get accepted. It really depends on what they need to fill at that particular time in the process. So that's all.
Well, it's the one panel that I've always wanted to get to, and for some reason it always seems to be scheduled against other things that I'm wanting to see. But the diversity panel that you run, I keep hoping that there has been some. If you do go onto YouTube and do search for Crazy for Comic-Con or Tony Kim's diversity panels, they are brilliant and highly entertaining panels. and I really would check. I really would check them out.
I don't know if I'm doing it again this year. I'm just gonna, I'll try and see, and we'll I'll announce that as soon as I hear something. I might not get any panels. Who knows? So.
Excellent. Okay, I think that's pretty much us, because I want to try and keep these under an hour, or in the hour straight. Thank you very much indeed to everybody who has commented on the Q&A. Just a couple more regarding stuff that we've talked about. Gene Taylor Lecaro, I'd copied my code, but then it said it didn't match when I tried to enter it, and then I had to try to get onto CCI registration, which at that point it was slow. I think a number of people had the same issues, and when it said that it didn't match, I think that's where CCI actually did make a comment on the yellow status bar, not to put any spurious spaces in there, or just kind of slow down and just you've got the hour to get that in there. So thank you very much indeed to your comment.
Hey, can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I know a lot of people were out of luck getting Comic-Con tickets. So an alternative would be WonderCon. That's in Anaheim here in Orange County. And it's a really great show. It's about half the size, maybe about 50, 60,000 people. But it has a lot of the same experiences and a lot of the same culture. It's an incredible cosplay show. And for those people who are in the same region here in Southern California or in LA or surrounding states, it's a really great show to go to. So if you can't go to Comic-Con, then definitely check out WonderCon. I will be doing a panel there as well. I'll send out details about that. But it's an awesome show. So it's a great alternative if you didn't get the Comic-Con tickets.
I'll be attending it for the first time this year.
With me.
Oh, great. That's cool.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice.
It's from what I've heard. It's San Diego Comic-Con 10 years ago. So I'm looking forward to it.
I did quite like the tweet that went out yesterday. The moment that the badge sale completed, and obviously people were slightly disappointed. And the tweet basically said, "Well, expect WonderCon tickets to sell out as of today," because obviously everyone was going to WonderCon as a second option. The guest list is incredible. If you do go on to comic-con.org, look at the guest list for WonderCon. It really is an impressive lineup.
In the past couple of years, WonderCon has come very close to selling out. In fact, I think in 2012, I think it's sold out at the show. But I do predict that it will sell out earlier this year, so you got to get tickets. Don't wait for the last second.
It sold out before the show last year, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about hotels, and I know it's kind of but I do want to mention that the forum is going to be doing hotel exchanges again this year. I think we're going to try and shift focus a little bit from being a general hotel exchange into perhaps working within the existing groups. So Transmute has a group, and we'll probably work within that group for our members and so forth down the line. There will still be the general spreadsheet for everybody else who's not part of a group yet. The push is to get people organized into groups so that they can build the trust and work together for other things in addition to tickets. Hotels, exclusives, line buddies, the whole gambit. Because when you trust people, it's a better con.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Alyssa, big props to you and the Friends of CCI. It's really an amazing service that you guys are offering, and not enough people are taking advantage of it. I mean, I know there's a lot of people already involved, but certainly a lot more would benefit from utilizing that community. And so thanks for your leadership in that. And I know there's a lot of fans that are going to be grateful for what your site offers.
Thank you. That's nice to hear, Tony. And thanks for mentioning this on your the last thing you did, which is great. I tried to give it some publicity, but really nice service of introduction for people on places to go and services and just how to get people into the tribe of con, because it's a wonderful community, and we we do a great service when we're open. When we start closing down and saying, "Oh, these people aren't true, Con," that's when it stops.
I hate that.
That's when it stops being fun.
Yes, exactly. So thank you for keeping it open.
Cool.
And I know we're all just sort of like lavishing the love on each other, but
Backslapping.
Lenny, I do appreciate the fact that you're very inclusive with the Comic-Con community, because it's I certainly don't believe that the information should belong to any sort of gatekeepers, but everyone should be able to share everything that they know, and the tribe beyond is way larger than any one group, and so the fact that you're always inviting people, you're having different guests on, you're elevating, giving other people a voice, I think brings great value, and so thanks for doing that. So
Thank you.
Then the Mighty Jerd, you're just a handsome dude, and you are a good-looking fella.
Aw, look at that.
You elevate the show just by your face.
Yes, you serve no purpose whatsoever, but you look pretty.
I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. That's all. I accept it.
You're the eye candy of the show, so.
It sure as hell ain't me, so yeah, I'm down with him taking that role on. Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, we are going to be covering the hotel sale in a future episode of the Hangout. Possibly not next week. I think I've got something a little bit special planned for next Sunday. So do join us next week at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, and 6 o'clock GMT. We are also, as Neil Williamson has just suggested, I think we need to do a Hall H special one week, discussing what that, as Tony has described it, the beast, the best ways to approach it, what you can expect to see in Hall H, because we have had one or two people say, what exactly is Hall H? It's understandable. It's something that a lot of us talk about, and I think we should discuss it. So, yeah, absolutely, we will be covering that in a future episode. Right, thank you very much indeed to everybody for joining us. I hope we helped talk you through the melee that was the open online badge sale. I'd like to thank my guests once again. Excuse me. Alyssa, where can people find you online?
friendsofcci.com/forum. That's your location for joining groups, information, tips, tricks, what to put in your backpack, all of that.
And also you can check, you can talk to Alyssa as well on the Twitter on Friends of CCI as well. But she doesn't particularly do Twitter too much, so okay.
I go for days without looking at it, so don't expect. The forum is better.
Okay, thank you very much indeed to Jeff for joining us. Thanks for telling us about your experience on the badge sale. Where can people find you? And indeed, in case people missed last week's episode, what is your site all about?
Oh, yeah. So thanks for having me on the show, first off. I appreciate it. Thank you, Alyssa, and thanks for the great compliments there, Tony. I'm looking forward to your panel again this year. Last year was awesome, so definitely if you do have the panel, those of you listening, make sure you check it out because it was fantastic. People can find me at thejerd.com, which is my geek-friendly superhero fitness site. And, of course, you can also reach me on Twitter, where I'm talking about comic books and fitness all the time, at the Mighty Jerd.
Sorry, I muted my microphone, so I wasn't going to be coughing all over the place, and it kind of backfired because I didn't unmute it. And last but not least, thank you very much indeed for Tony for joining us. Hopefully you'll come back at another point between now and July. Where can people find you, and what is Crazy for Comic-Con all about on the website?
Yeah, you can find me on MySpace. I'm exclusively on MySpace, so definitely check me out there. Hey, I need to get these like fancy lower thirds going on, because did y'all get that like off eBay, or where'd you get these? Anyway, I'll get my
there's a Kickstarter for them, I think.
Okay, all right, I'll get on that.
Everyone's crowdsourcing nowadays. It's what all the kids are doing.
Yeah. Anyway, crazyforcomiccon.com, and I just write about stuff and more things and stuff, all the things and stuff. And yeah, I'm at the Long Beach Comic-Con this next weekend, moderating some panels, and then WonderCon and hopefully Las Vegas Comic-Con. I'm not sure about that one, but So you should be hearing a lot more about some other conventions here shortly.
Excellent.
Nice.
Thank you very much indeed, Tony. You can find myself, Leonard Sultana, at Englishman SDCC. You can also just type it into Google. You'll find me on numerous social medias, including Google Plus at google.com/+symbol and Englishman in San Diego. Once again, thank you very much indeed to all my guests for joining us. Hopefully we'll have some news in the next couple of days of a rather special hangout next Sunday. Hopefully we've got some special guests that I think you'll enjoy, and hopefully you'll join us next week for another cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. That's where I'm heading now. I'm going to go and find a kettle and fill a cup, and I'm having a cup of tea because I'm missing my cup of teas now. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.